Father, we thank you for the opportunity you have given unto us this evening to increase and learn what will be helpful for us professionally. Lord, we ask that you take over, take charge of everything we are going to do. The resource person, Lord, we pray for intellectual progress. Lord, he shall speak fluently. We come against every network failure. Everything shall go according to plan, to the glory of your name, in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Now, it's also customary that normally we start with a brief safety moment. So today I will talk about how we can manage fake news, because it's also part of safety. And most of the time now, for the time being, we'll be working from home and we'll rely more on our the information that come through social media. The key thing to observe is any news item, the first step that needs to for fact checking is to check what other sources are saying. If somebody send you something with a link, check that link. Is it a known source? Is it a credible source? If it is not, you can pick keywords from the information and go to Google and search. If it is true, and if it is a new news item, you see that all the mainstream media houses now, they also have online. So they would have reported it. If you see none of the mainstream media is reporting that item, chances that it is fake is very, very high. So do not share it and do not rely on it. If an image is shared for something that is occurred, you can check the authenticity of that image using Google Lens on your phone. When you open that Google search engine, you see inside the search distance, there's just a small distance that appear like a camera's lens. If you tap on it, it will open a window where you can go to where that image is. You select that image, you put it inside there, it will search and give you all the history of that image if it has appeared somewhere before. I used this before. There was a time I saw a message on one network that I belong to, where they showed some fishes which was alleged to have been washed offshore on Bonny Island. Many people saw that picture. So when I put that picture, I noticed that the first time that picture appeared is over 10 years ago. And it was a beach. It happened in Maryland, in USA. So that type of thing, once you see it, you'll be able to correct that information those people are saying, and you stop the spread of fake news. To check an image on your computer, in your computer browser, if you type images.google.com, you just drag that image and drop it inside the search window. It will also give you the same type of information you can get from Google Lens on the phone. Then, even if the news is true, you check who will it benefit, who will it offend before you share. Particularly, there are a lot of information about what we should eat, what we cannot eat, or the precautions we need to take about this coronavirus and all this. Check the source. If the source is not credible, don't share it, and it's safe not to rely on it, so that we don't go and put ourselves into other problems. So that's all we have for you for today as a safety moment. If is there any comments?
Yeah, Engineer Mamoud.
Olumayowa.
Yeah, I want to say that's a credible one, and it's timely because you see people spreading unconfirmed news here and there, and such news, if care is not taken, can cause panic, and from panic it can lead to some other things. Some people are health challenged, and when they get some information, they see some information before even verifying it. You know, because they have some health undertone, such thing can impact them, and a kind of you know, increase their tendency to more harm. So, like you said, it's very, very good in this age. That's why, as you see me, I know before I send anything out, I make sure that I belong to a lot of platform, but I not there that come to my that I want to share. I want to be very sure because some are even for your own personal consumption. So I think it's credible that to check some of these, and there's a way your listing can even be blocked so that not everything that will come there that you should be able to send out.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. Any other comment before we proceed?
Thank you, Sir Engineer Mamoud.
Thank you, Engineer Olaleka.
Yes, in addition to what Engineer Stephen had just said, I think it is also very important for us, once we see any information that is new to us or that we have never heard, if you are not sure of what to do, probably the source of the information or where the information has come from, it's very important for us to just leave it the way it is. If you don't share, it doesn't do you any harm. Just read it. If it is good for you, let it just be your personal take instead of confusing the whole populace the more. That's my own suggestion.
Thank you very much. So, Professor Olakule. Professor Olakule, are you with us? Professor Olakule? Hello. So those people that joined us later, the national president will not be able to make it today. I announced that earlier, and he has a message which I will deliver to us so that by that time we are likely to have more people. And also the team that normally support this is a lot of people that are providing support at the background. Engineer Dadit is not with us today. He's engaged with something else. And also Dr. Usman Abubakar. I only have Victor with me. So I need one more person in the house to volunteer to help us with the wrap-up of the event at the end of the day. Just a short recap, like the take-home point. So any volunteer, please. Should I grab somebody?
Engineer Mamoud, let me do that for us.
Okay, thank you, Engineer Olaleka. Thank you so much. Yeah. Okay, so our topic for today is our presenter for today is Engineer Olumayowa Stephen James. He's a member of Nigerian Society of Chemical Engineers and also member of NSChE. He's also a current registered engineer. He has a BH degree in chemical engineering from Futimina and also professional master's degree in environmental management and protection from the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta. Currently, he's a director in Hismight Technical Safety Limited, a safety and environmental consultancy services provider in Ipaja, Alimosho local government area of Lagos State. He is a safety and environment advisor a NIBOS certified practitioner. He's also a certified lead auditor for ISO 45001. That's the international standard for occupational health and safety management system. He has had close to 23 years work experience cutting across public service, manufacturing, and oil and gas. Engineer James has participated in several technical safety studies, including HSESG, HAZOP, HEMP, PHE, and others, both locally and internationally. Over the years, James has demonstrated expertise and competencies in safety and environmental advisory role, providing satisfactory support at different phases of EPC contracts and projects, mainly for the IOCs. As a lead auditor in the Occupational Health and Safety Management System Standard, he has facilitated contractors' HSE capability assessment for a sizable number of contracts projects. Some of these include the design, manufacture, installation support of subsea hardware controls for SNEPCO, escape route and safety equipment layout design for the engineering design project for IESL, effluent treatment plant design, construction and commissioning project for LASEPA, caisson source pump fabrication and installation project, both onshore and offshore, also for SNEPCO, APSO asset corrosion repair project for SNEPCO, domestic supply obligation DSO project for Chevron Nigeria Limited, APSO turnaround maintenance, and in-water survey projects also for SNEPCO, and single yoke mooring platform leg repair project, onshore scope for also for SNEPCO, among others. So you agree with me? He's a very experienced in the topic that he's going to talk about. That's the safety precautions that we associated with equipment inspection and premobilization planning and safety measures. So that's Engineer James Olumayowa Stevens. Engineer Stevens, are you ready?
Okay, good evening, sir.
You are ready, right?
Let's go ahead, sir.
Okay, so you start by sharing your screen, then you have the flow. I'm going to mute myself as soon as your screen comes up.
Okay, sir. Good evening, sir. I believe you're all hearing me. Okay. Well, let me just appreciate the society and the HSE group for this privilege to have this presentation. I would like to thank the leadership of the society and also the leadership of the group, HSE group. It's a great work you are doing, and we hope that we continue this good work. Today, I had the privilege of sharing a little of my knowledge, experience, because I know that the cream of people that are my audience, they are senior professional colleagues, profs, erudite engineers, and colleagues. So it's just a contribution to share my little experience and also to learn from you, because I know at the end of the day, you make one or two comments, I will learn. If you remember in the previous two seminars, our presenters dealt with technical safety, basically. Engineer Adetono, and last week, our other engineer also talked on one talked on HAZOP, and the one of last week talked of PRA. These ones are technical safety, but today, the line I will be looking at is more of operational safety, and just to share my little knowledge, like I said, as an HSE practitioner, you know, the the projects have been evolving, how this issue of equipment has come to be as part of deliverables. Though we work with some other discipline, because most of the time, safety engineers are not inspectors per se, but we latch on these other guys to do these activities. Most of the time, they come to meet us on site when we request for them to come and certify our equipment before they are deployed. So it's about equipment pre-mob, and some of the EPC contracts have been able to participate in so far. So for the first thing I will be looking at is the, this equipment pre-mob is actually normally happen at the execute phase of the project. After the design, the next thing you do, procurement, as the case may be, which is not my court, and you come to construction. So it's at the execute stage that we deal with this issue of equipment most of the time before they actually deploy to the site for operational purposes. So what I will be looking at straight away is the issue of HSESG. We call it HSESG. If you look at my slide, we call it HSESG. You will see that one here. HSESG is about construction site safety standardization. And the aim of this standardization is to achieve zero tolerance in incidents. And what is it all about is to ensure that sites do the same. Sites look the same, sites feel the same, and sites know the same. That is to say, if you have a site for the same company, for example, you have a site in Calabar, you have another one in Oklahoma, construction sites, you have another one in Canada. What this narration is talking about, as far as the reducing incidents is concerned, and using of equipment, and everything that will be able to deliver this project, we want to make the site to look the same, and that's and to feel the same, and to know the same, so that it is replicated. And that's what the HSESG is all about. From the slide, you will see what is other things that could come as a result of HSESG. So HSESG is about some standards that is being deployed, even globally. And the first one is hazardous activities. Hazardous activities standards under this HSESG. Hazardous activities are activities that have the potential to cause significant incidents. Yes, hazardous activity whereby you use heavy equipment. For example, both onshore and offshore, you use things like crane with a boom and some other ancillaries. You use heavy trucks, heavy trucks, and some other things like forklift and the rest of them. This activity normally comes with this potential to cause these incidents. So, and you need to mitigate them. That's number one. The first thing that this HSESG address. What are the hazardous activities that are taking place in your site? Are you doing lifting and rusting? Because if you do risk profiling, especially when you get to execute stage, as an HSE personnel, one of the things that the document you are going to take there, apart from the document like AZID report and some other things, is this document, that has to do with risk profiling of all the activities that is going to take place. Every equipment where you do excavation, you do some lifting, movements from batch to batch, you use lifting cranes, you use lifting accessories, hosting accessories, under this hazardous activity. So they are the standard you must look out for under HSESG. Then after looking at that, there is another maybe of C2S. When you have identified hazardous activities within your site, you also look at the standard that talks about safe practice. Safe practice is like a mitigating practice against hazardous activities that you have identified in your site. And what are the controls? What are the things you put in place to mitigate? Because in project, in project execution, a responsible company will want to reduce the risks to allow. So you use every available means to make sure that your risks are brought low to manageable extent. So some of the examples of safe practice standards are things like barricades, open holes, line of fire. You keep people, you avoid line of fire, you do housekeeping. Those are practices that, you know, they are practices to minimize high frequency incidents. And this just showing us example of I borrowed this one from some of the jobs I've done in the past. These are in the public domain anyway. So just showing us every equipment and vehicle operations under hazardous activities. You use heavy cranes, you use trucks in the course of your project. So you watch out for all this equipment must be pre-mob, must be certified, must be made fit for purpose. That's what we're talking about. And also you look at lifting and hosting, where you use cranes, heavy cranes, mobile cranes, and you use some other accessories, lifting gears, shackles, and the rest of them. All these things must be tested out. Like one of the companies I work for, most of the time, before you move any equipment offshore, for example, it must pass through this level of verification. You know, you do paper documentation, that is the third-party survey. You do inspection by competent inspectors. You check things like, say, safety device within your crane, within your equipment. Are they working? Are they functional? Horns, you know, a reversing gear light, all those. As simple as that. Even you carry out interview for the operators to test the competence of the operators. Because if anything should happen, it's going to be, it can cause harm. It can cause equipment damage, massive equipment damage. It can cause reputational damage to the job owner or to the owner of the business, things like that. So those are the things we look out for. And this is just defining what is the equipment pre-mob is all about. And you can see, like I said, most of the time, HSE personnel are not trained. Of course, there are certain level of training you can be exposed to depending on where you are per time and the project that you are working on. But most of the time, from my little experience, we lack so much on our equipment pre-mob inspectors, because these ones have specialized training to do this. And most of the time, they come with their checklists. Beforehand, you will have sent them your equipment list to know they will have studied your equipment list. That will help them to know how to structure their checklist when they are coming to site. And you can see that their activity is supported by HSEMS. And HSEMS are the things that we develop, we review. They are our working tools as far as we are concerned in terms of professional practice. And this is just more about the purpose of equipment pre-mob. You can see that this activity is to ensure equipment integrity. It's an integrity strategy for safety assurance. Because like I said, it doesn't matter as small as what we call it now, welding machines and all these hand machines, as small as they are, you have to certify that they are fit for purpose. I've been in a site we are doing some level of welding, and we have this thing in place. You know, we have blankets and people are welding inside of it using this handheld equipment. And there was, the thing just blow like that because of operating it. Someone will say, as small as this thing is, of course. And by the time you investigate it, it's as a sort of one thing or the other, one thing that means. So some of the things that this equipment remote check is what you call daily pre-use check on this equipment. I was in a particular project also, a diving project in the DDC, that is the compression, the diving, the compressing chamber. You know, the guy managing it, the technical diver, you know, supposed to do a routine, a daily, but that day, because they feel that it's a thing that is a routine thing. So the guy will just, instead of doing the corrective, he will just fill his paper for the lead to sign. But you know that something happened one day, and there was a problem. That thing just blew up. And by the time it was investigated, it found that as a particular regulator that this is supposed to be turned into particular pressure gauge, which if this guy had done the previews for that day, you would have been able to see it. So those are the things. They could be as small as any report. They are very, very important. So these are just the process of going about it. And, you know, it's just the process of what happens in a typical equipment pre-mobilization. Like I said, most of the time, we as safety practitioner, we normally, the project, we push it to us that we manage as a deliverable. So we request most of the time for the equipment list from our contractors. So when they send me this equipment list, for example, okay, the catalog of them, I will develop a tracker for them. The list will indicate the model, the year of manufacturing, the OEM, and some other things, all necessary things I need to know about the equipment. So when I get all these things, I will now contact the remote inspectors. See, I have this to do. And okay, send me the list. I send it to them. By the time they are coming to meet me at the site, they are coming with their structured checklist based on the things I sent to them earlier on. So they come, and one of the things I receive them in the site. The management team, both on the contractor and the client side, we have a meeting, we discuss, then we do documentary review to know if this equipment have gone through third-party survey certification. And so then we go for physical examination based on the things he has. I will always be with them because it is my baby as far as the project is concerned. I only borrow the guy to come and help me, to come and assist us. So if anything should go wrong, I'm the one they call upon. It's my deliverable. So we do physical inspection, we look at things together, we complete the check, we do personal interview, operators, we interview them. And at the end of the day, a report is issued. And after the report, depending on the company you are talking about, their stickers are issued. These stickers will be placed on this equipment. So that by the time they get to site, either also offshore, anybody that is coming to the site, as soon as they see these stickers, it is very easy to know that, okay, fine, this equipment are passed PREMOB. So they are fit for purpose. That's what we are talking about. So I will just share a particular this thing with you now. It's a fatality that occurs during lifting operation. During lifting operation. I don't know if you can see this. Can you see this next one? Hello? Okay. This is an LFI. And if you can see it, is a subsea activity where lifting, rigging, and all this are taking place. So a 125 kg snatch block, you know, snapped and fall on a deck rigger, causing fatality. By the time you look at the notes why it happened and lessons, you will see that, you know, some things go wrong about the equipment. Like you see one of the bullets, he said that rigging he said that lifting operations have been suitably risk assessed before commences and are being conducted with involvement of the appropriate personnel, including cross-department. But then, some things happen to this particular block, some of the chains. It's actually snapped in the course of operation. With some of these things, if a proper, check before use and some other things, they will have been able to take care of it. So it happens and it kills a man, kills somebody. So these are some of the things that we are talking about that, look, it's very, very important that when we are doing this kind of a project, it's good that we take cognizance of all of this and make sure that our equipment are fit for purpose. And of course, we talk about incident investigation. For practitioners, I mean, safety practitioner, you want to avoid incidents. Because when it happens, the way they drill you, it can even make you to the other man last week. He's a lawyer, according to him. So there are litigation around this thing. What we are doing, if you manage the appropriate and there is an issue, I mean, you will be. There's no way you're one of the first places in line of fire in terms of investigation and drilling and all those things. So you want to avoid it. And that's why I just bring it up. I know you can quite understand what is it all about. And the purpose of it is to prevent the occurrence and not fulfill legal requirements, compilation of data so that you'll be able to know where and where to close your gaps in terms of training and some other things, so reduce the frequency of accidents. Then I talk about showstoppers. Showstoppers to me is something on your site that can trigger surprises in terms of unsafe act, unsafe condition. You are vigilant. At times they see you as a policeman. At times they see that your own is too much, but you know what you are doing. You don't want to kill anybody on your project. I don't want massive asset damage. Some activity taking place offshore with heavy lift. You are lowering Christmas tree into depth of the sea, where you have you are there lowering some equipment, into subsea. And where you have Christmas tree, you have some pipes, you have some things. If you fall, it can burst these pipes and damage. It can fall on this tree and damage this. And these are several dollars. And this is what we are talking about. Even remediation is another talent. So you want to avoid all these things. And that's why you work for showstoppers. You encourage, you see it, you own it, attitude. That is behavioral-based principle. Unsafe act, unsafe condition. You want to take responsibility for your safety and order. You ensure the use of safety observation cards, to manage unsafe act and unsafe condition. You want to ensure that your project team does not rely too much on your HS statistics, because that is why we are deceived. And that's why someone I learned over the years is, look, they tell you there's what you call chronic unease. Chronic unease for safety practitioner, a safety man on the field, managing project, chronic unease is when you see your dashboard looking green all through. You are in danger. You are in danger because there's tendency for you to want to relax the gear. And it's at that time that unexpected will happen. So you don't rely too much on the dashboard. If it's looking green, you have to be more careful. Chronic unease. Then at the site rep, apart from your ASI, your IRA report, which are your documents for managing the site, you also go along with, like I said earlier on, you go along with some other document to help you to manage it, making sure that because before these things are come to this stage, you know, the activity will have been, the acid will have been taken, will have been risk assessed. So you have the report, the controls are suggested there. So you take this thing out and make sure that your workers comply with the controls, the equipment in compliance with the controls. So those are the things, and it will help you. And I think this is about where I'm going to stop, because I know you are familiar with all these other bits. So the last thing I want to mention, yeah, I think I've mentioned it. That is the worksite hazard management, where you use UAUC to reduce incident frequency. You know, please, this is where I want to stop. And these are some of the risks HSE risks I just put in there. Onshore, offshore. You know, you have a lot of risk here. There are these spools. The one you are seeing, the spools now. These spools are fabricated onshore, and they are taken to offshore for installation. So we manage all some of these things. We manage it HSE-wise to make sure that people are safe. People does not have to lose their lives. The equipment does not have to be damaged. And that is why these things are very, very important. So just showing some, yeah, you can see some heavy lift. Like I was saying the other time, look at this heavy something going to the sea infrastructure. If you fall, if the lifting gear or anything snap, and this with heavy weight fall on the Christmas tree or any of the pipe, it's a damage, massive damage in terms of cost, and also environmental degradation, because LOPC, loss of primary containment. So we are battling with spillage. Those are the things that we learn from my little years of practice. I see that it is very important, and we take this as passionately as professionals to make sure that we will do the right thing for the society to be safe and our project to be safe. Thank you very much. These are tank cleaning activities offshore. All those they come with their risks and all those things. So thank you, Engineer Mamoud.
Thank you very much, Engineer James, for the wonderful presentation. Thank you so much. Now, before I open up the floor for discussions, some elders just joined us, and it's proper that we recognize their presence. We have Dr. Boniface Wada. You are welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mamoud.
We also have Engineer Andrew Yakubu, former GMD of NNPC. Thank you for your support, sir. And we have the Senior General Manager of Dangote Cement Plants worldwide, in charge of Environment and Community Affairs, Engineer Tukur Lawal. He also joined us after we started. You are welcome, sir.
Thank you very much for joining my guest.
Okay. We can now discuss either questions or contributions on the presentation. The floor is open.
Engineer Mamoud, can I start before my leaders speak?
You are also a leader, Engineer Tukur.
Thank you very much for organizing yet another forum where we share knowledge. Thank you, Engineer James, for a very good job done. My own contribution is we cannot emphasize the importance of pre-operation inspections on health and safety. And I think there are 4 factors that has been spoken to, and I want to bring them to light The success of pre-inspections rely on 4 things. One is the quality of training of the inspectors, which is very important. They know exactly what to do, how to do it, and when to do it. And of course, a good schedule. The second one is developing a checklist, both for first level and second level inspection. This is very important. The richer the checklist, the safer the equipment and the environment, and also the people. One other thing is the importance of measuring equipment, how good they are and how often do we calibrate them. This is very important also when it comes to pre-operations inspection or inspection during operations. The last but not the least is follow-up of gaps identified, because in many cases gaps are identified and actions are not taken, and before you know it, an incident will happen because an issue was not addressed. Thank you very much, Engineer James, for showing us the showstoppers. My only addition is the importance of visibility of top management in the inspections during on site. This will go a long way in giving confidence to the workers, and also they will be able to, with their wisdom, identify hazards and risks better than anybody. So these are my little contributions. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Engineer Tukur. Any more contribution? Okay, I have a...
I cannot make a contribution because I was at the point when he was saying, concluding and thanking you for organizing the, I was held up somewhere. But what I can gather that it was a well-delivered lecture from the comments of the host. So I thank James for, in fact, the activities at the upstream, for those of us who worked in the downstream, we scarcely knew what was going on in the upstream, which is not surprising. That is the separation between the upstream and downstream. It's like North and South Pole. So the presentations that anchor on upstream activities are of interest to those of us who had been downstream. Thank you very much, Engineer James.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, Mamoud, can I come in?
Yes, sir. You can come in, sir.
Okay, so let me start by thanking Engineer James for this topic, the choice of topic itself, and thank him for the good delivery. It's just that very bad weather and the whole session was interrupted many times. We had to reboot many times to be able to follow. But the importance of HSE or safety cannot be overemphasized in project delivery. And I think it's such an important, congratulate the organizers for bringing this to the fore in our minds. Every project is always proud to be judged by the safety KPIs. 0 incidences, 0 injuries, 0 lost time. And what are the key issues that impede that? These are the key elements that he brought out today, which I saw, although it was interrupted, but I saw that he brought out those key elements. Now, players in both upstream and downstream or brownfield, they are judged, no matter how good your presentation is, no matter how cheap your bid is, if you do not have a reputation on HSE, it is considered a fatal flaw, and nobody will want to bring you into his brownfield investment if it's not sure that you have a good HSE standard. Because the contract could be 1 million or 500,000, but if you do not have a good HSE culture, you can disrupt an operation that can cost the project owner millions of dollars. So that is the impact it can bring to you. So it's not just knowing, so it's just to bring, for those of us who are planning to go into investments as contractors or whatever, you need to understand that the owner of that project or the owner of that brownfield or the greenfield is interested principally on high, very, very high safety standard. Anything short of that, whatever your presentation is not worth it. So thank you very much for bringing this to the fore so that both the project owners and the project delivery systems and the contractors will imbibe this safety culture. And like you said, the safety in Abuja should be the same standard in Port Harcourt, should be the same standard in Lagos, should be the same standard in Houston, should be the same standard in Europe and everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Now, I have one question which anybody that has a knowledge can answer. He mentioned Mineral Oil Safety Regulation of 1977. Looking at 1977 to today, we all know how many years is that. And we know issues of safety, a lot has changed since then. Technology, knowledge, and even in terms of incidences that has happened that have been reviewed. The content, those people that are aware of the content of this regulation, are they still relevant to today's prevailing circumstance? And if not, what can we do? How can we assist in getting this updated to current realities? So maybe, Engineer James, I will give you a chance to come in. The earlier three are just contributions, but you can just take a listen and say a few words before we go back to the floor.
Okay, Engineer Mamoud.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Okay, Olaleka, you have something to say?
Yes, on the mineral oils safety regulation, I have something to say on that.
Okay.
By that regulation, for me, I've gone through it, and as it stands now, it's not adequate enough to cater for the current issues we are having, especially in the oil and gas industry. There is need for it to be reviewed. The first one was rolled out in 1963. And after 1963, the next revised version came out in 1997. And that one was approved by the then Honorable Minister of Petroleum, Dan Etete. And since that time, there has not been anyone. And we know there have been a series of technological improvement and advancement in the oil and gas. Different skills are required, different environmental impacts assessment which have been done and require review. All these things has to be included. And just like what most of us have been saying, we need that political will for our leaders to look into this and review it so that it can benefit us, especially at this 20th century. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Engineer Olaleka. Engineer James.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Engineer Olaleka, thank you for that. Sorry, I have to apologize. You know, I was telling my children a few days ago, I said, I remember in my university days, our lecturers, they will bring ancient of these notes to come and lecture us. And I wonder, in this 21st century, so honestly speaking, the little exposure I have, we went beyond this. And that's why we are canvassing that companies should endeavor to get ISO certified, as certified. 45,001 and last of them, because these ones have gone far ahead. This ISO, they review them from time to time. And apart from that, oil and gas, you know, we have some of our codes and standards that are there, you know, that have regularly been updated. It's only in this part of the world that we are sorry to say. So I quite appreciate the engineer pointing that. So for me, in my work so far, I only refer to them. I can't even remember when last I referred to them, because there are some better standards that my company will present to me to use. That's the truth of the matter. But that the society can help us. It's a thing that we need to move ahead. Technology has gone beyond the level we are. If not for our days, people that are coming, generations coming after us, they should get something better. So if you can push for the political will, so for some of this to be reviewed, it will be very, very nice. So I'm sorry about that it comes on my slide anyway, but that's just to tell you what is painful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Engineer James. The ISO certification can only like maybe as a temporary measure, because ISO management systems does not tell you what to do.
Yeah.
Yes, it just specifies minimum requirements that you document how you are going to address them, and you have the freedom of state anyhow you address them. The key thing that comes out of the ISO management system standard is it is mandatory to comply with all applicable statutory and regulatory requirements. That's just the key thing. So if you are now making reference to a regulation that is like completely outdated with practice, it will still leave a huge gap. So as a professional body, we need to find a way of assisting or supporting the DPR to review this to the current reality. At least we can initiate something, maybe get a position distance to them and make ourselves available as a professional body to provide that support. I think that's the direction we need to go. If you all agree with me, we can commence action on that. Tukuru, I see your hand up.
Yeah, I think Mamoud, we have knitted on the board the importance of professional bodies. Hello?
Hello. Isn't it Tukuru?
Sorry.
I thought I heard somebody's voice. Can I go ahead?
I think it's Engineer Andrew, but his network is not too good.
No, Tukuru, go ahead. Go ahead, Tukuru. I'll comment later.
What I'm saying is the importance of professional bodies in reviewing and updating legislation and regulations cannot be overemphasized. One typical example I've seen here in Lagos is with the Lagos safety advocates. They are the power front when it comes to thought leadership, and both Federal Ministry of Industries, factory inspectors, and the Lagos State Environmental and the Lagos State Safety Commission have been using that platform to get feedback from the companies, and also from the industries, and also academicians. And I think that has helped in reshaping the regulations. So, Mamoud, I think what we need to do is, sometimes we speak very nicely here, and unfortunately nothing comes up after this. We cannot underestimate our influence. If an action is taken after this discussion, and a formal meeting is held with regulators, I'm sure it will go a long way in them waking them up to come up with what needs to be done to look at these regulations. I don't want to go further into this. I would have also shed light on the environment issue. It's more or less the same thing with safety. Things have changed really. Our inputs have changed, alternative fuel, alternative raw materials, and we're still looking at regulations that were made where such things were not being considered. So I think Mamoud, if NSChE from today can come up with an action, a structured action to involve regulators, academia, and also the industries, I think we can find ways, we can find solutions to this problem. So let's say tomorrow, next week, something comes up and we build on what we have discussed today. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Good evening, sir. Sorry, sir.
I'm done. I hope I was audible enough. Mamoud? Mamoud?
We heard you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, you are very audible. We heard you very well. Engineer Yakubu, sir, over to you. It's like he has gone on for. Awal Haruna, you want to say something?
Wait, let me enter.
Hello?
No. So that I can show you everything.
Engineer Haruna, you have something to say? Okay.
No, sir, please.
Any other contribution?
Yeah, Yunus.
Engineer Yunus.
Yes, I can't see a finger icon. So,
no, go ahead. You can talk.
Yeah, thank you very much. The presenter has done a good job. What I want to suggest on the issue of the minerals oil regulation, safety regulation, is that for us to make any useful input, probably we need to set up a group, a working group, to review the document. The document is not totally bad. There could be gaps. Let us review the document and point out areas that need to be strengthened. Then we can push that to, it is Ministry of Petroleum Resources, because the regulation will be made pursuant to the Petroleum Act. So we need to put our house in order, let our safety professionals, our heavy wigs, look at the document and say, this section has gaps, this section has gaps, and there's a need to strengthen it, making reference to global best practice. Then seek audience with the Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum, and from there we can move on. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Engineer Yunus. Welcome back, sir. Engineer Yakubu. You have the floor. You have the floor, sir.
Are you sure he's back?
He's back, but I think he has muted. He has muted.
His network is too slow. I'm trying to admit him. It's not going. Anyway, we have Engineer Olabi attending this session for the first time. Do you have any contribution to make, Engineer Olabi?
No, sir. I'm new on this site, but I just want to listen. Whether in a subsequent one, I'll be able to contribute more.
Okay. So, any more contribution? Now, what I want to suggest, because there's also a protocol we have to pass through in the society to be able to get this task on the road. What normally happens is that a position paper comes from the sectoral group or from the chapters or from any other committee to the secretariat, which is analyzed by the policy affairs committee. Yes, sir.
Mamoud.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah,
Mamoud, I'm back online now. I was cut off.
Yeah, welcome back, sir.
Mamoud, I was cut off.
Go ahead, sir. Engineer Yakubu, if you can close your video, perhaps it will give you more bandwidth for the voice.
Yeah.
Engineer Olabi.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Hello,
I'm going to meet you now since you don't have a contribution. Engineer Andrew is not coming through. So as I was saying, when he connects back, we'll give him the space to talk. It will have to be cleared by the Policy Advisory Committee and approved by Council before we commence work. And luckily for us, there's a council meeting around the corner, I think about 4 weeks time. So if we'll be able to get that position paper ready, the Policy Advisory Committee will get done with it. And we are in an era of remote working, people working at their convenience electronically from their homes, and things get done faster. So we don't have to wait for any fiscal meeting. So I would suggest that we have if we can get Engineer Olaleka, who I will also call shortly to do the wrap-up, to prepare a draft position paper. So we get a committee of small volunteers, people that are knowledgeable about this regulation. If there are also other regulations related to process safety and environment in the industry that needs to be reviewed and updated, we can take them along in this.
Before the wrap up.
Hello.
Hello. Engineer Yakubu, you are back now.
Hello.
Hello, sir. We are hearing you, sir.
Yes, sir. Let me quickly.
If you can close your video.
Yes, I said we have gone beyond right? In
Engineer Yakubu, there's problem with your network. We are not hearing you very well. If you can close your video.
On share screen. I can only see you.
Okay.
I can only see you.
Okay, sir. His network actually is not too good.
Mamoud.
Yes, sir.
The network.
Before the wrap up, I wanted to. I have observed that attendance has gone down drastically. Is it virtual meeting fatigue, or what is responsible for this drastic drop in the participation?
You know, the lockdown has been relaxed, so people are going back to their normal activities. So there are a lot of other competing activities. Like National President called me earlier, shortly before we started, he's on the road somewhere, so he will not be able to participate today. So we are going to sit down and look at it and review, also to see if there's a need to reduce the frequency, or we continue like that. We also need to look at what is happening and see if we can review, so that in line with what is actually going on.
And maybe I remember the national president saying that other sectorial groups be encouraged to also emulate what the safety group is doing. Are you also available to them to assist and encourage them to, because diversity may increase interest?
Yes, we'll be willing to provide support. I know the petroleum downstream is very active, and also the petroleum upstream, and also the education sectoral group. So any of the groups that plan to come up with something like this will be willing to provide the support they would need from us.
Okay. Yeah, Mamoud, can you hear me now?
Yes, very clear now, sir.
Yeah, I have switched the device. Okay, I was just trying to say that we need to get APR to give us a comprehensive update of the various regulatory requirements they have in their books. Because, and I know that the industry is not driven by 1977 regulations in their upstream and downstream activities. Because regulatory requirements, safety is such an important aspect of the industry that nobody goes down low on that standard. If we are not catching up with our regulations, the industry is international, it's being operated by international bodies that apply the highest safety standards as a requirement to investment decisions in the industry. So we need to, first of all, visit with a DPR or request them to come and give us a presentation on updates on what they have in their books. Because in 1977, we were not in deep offshore. We were hardly in shallow offshore. We were just in the swamp and land. So if today we are in ultra deep offshore and those regulations have not been updated, which I don't believe they are applicable at all, because like I said, the operators and the investors are international in nature. So we need, I'm not sure of what we have, but I think we need DPR's professional input in this matter before we conclude on where we are or on any intervention that we want to make. That's my contribution.
That's a very good one, sir. I agree with you.
Yeah.
We need to touch base with them to be sure, so that when we approach them, we'll be speaking from the position of knowledge. Because it will actually be embarrassing if we go and tell them that this your regulation is outdated, and they tell us that we have an updated version, so and so this is. It will make us look like we don't know what we are doing. So as a first step, we'll inform the National Secretariat to get in touch with DPR and get a comprehensive list of their regulations. So from there, we know the next line of action.
Mamoud, again, I want to add something.
Yes, sir.
I know somebody who had worked on a number of regulations, is now retired, and I can contact him.
Okay, sir.
And give you maybe, if he has any contribution to make or give us advice as well. You can continue with the official line, But I know that at one time he was also involved with DPR regulations.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Any other contribution? So before I call on Engineer Olalekan to wrap up, the president has a message for the young members among us that they should take advantage of this presentation series because it's free knowledge for professional development that is being provided here. Some of the topics that are being covered, these are topics that you pay expensively in other areas to have that knowledge. He also said that, and in fact, we all know, most of the people that come on this platform for these weekly editions, they don't really need this because most of the people are retired. What we are discussing here, how will it help Dr. Wada retired in 2003. Engineer Andre Yakuba has retired. Tukuru is quarter to go. You know, we have past presidents that keep that come weekly. It's just today that some of them are this. So the thing is, you look at what are they looking for? They are just coming to support us, to support the younger ones. So what he said, the message to the younger ones is that if you know you are young and you are here today, when you are coming next Saturday, if we get a presenter, you should tag along with your colleague or classmates, because this lecture series is actually fashioned out is designed to benefit the younger engineers among us, mostly the younger corporate members and also the graduate members. So that's the message from Engineer Anyako. So if there are no further contributions now, I want to call on Engineer Olalekan today to do the wrap up, at least the highlights of the take-home points that before we do closing prayer.
Okay, thank you, sir, Engineer Mamoud. Just as Sir said, my name is Olalekan. I will be doing the wrap up for today's presentation. Our presenter for today is Engineer Olumayowa Stephen James, and he took us on a topic called HSE activity in equipment pre-mobilization with reference to EPC contracts. At the beginning of his presentation, he said he wanted us to, he would have loved to, he is willing to contribute to HSE group and at the same time, learn from others' experiences. He emphasized that in any project, there is always stages. We move from design to procurement and procurement to construction. That it is at the construction stage, called the execution stage, that we normally pre-mob equipment for construction activities. And he also said that there is a standard called construction site safety standardization, and that is applicable to all construction sites, especially for us to achieve a very low, or what we call zero tolerance to incidents in all construction sites. And part of this construction site safety standardization is what he called hazardous activities standard, whereby using of heavy equipment, lifting and hosting equipment must be pre-mobilized, must be inspected, and ensure that they are good and they have good their integrity is not in doubt for them to perform the job they are to be put to. He also mentioned that there is another one called safe practice standard, That has to do with the use of barricades in case there is need for heat, open holes, and the general one we used to do on site, which is the housekeeping. Having said that, he emphasized that for us to carry out equipment pre-mobilization, inspection is key and must be carried out by authorized persons. And what are those tools the authorized person is supposed to use? He mentioned some, like the checklist and HSEMS, Health Safety Environment and Management System. So he went further to tell us what's the purpose of an engineer or a contractor to ensure that what is the purpose of pre-mobilizing the equipment on site. He said that the major one is for equipment strategy for safety assurance, to assure the clients that the equipment to be deployed are safe. And at the end of the day, there won't be any incident, or there will be a controllable incident. And he mentioned some basic things we need to look for, especially when we are using heavy equipment. So we should look for stability, the weight loads, which must not exceed the capacity carriage. Then we must ensure routine inspection of the equipment. Then he also took us through process of equipment pre-mobilization, which starts with receiving the equipment list. The equipment list, we check for the models, the year of manufacture, and probably the operational manner of the equipment. He also said we need to request for the equipment identification, then equipment list and tracker development, then pay a site visit to know where the equipment will be used. He also said that third-party survey and certification is also needed. And at the end of the day, the equipment must be certified, and probably a certificate issue or a sticker put on the equipment to say that it has been inspected. In buttressing the presentation, he gave us a lesson from incidents, or learning from incidents on a fatality during a lifting operation where a hose snapped and a person, there was a fatality that was recorded. A worker was killed. So just to buttress that, it is very important that we promote our equipment and ensure that they are safe before they are deployed for the activity. He talked briefly on incident investigation and reporting, which he said he was not going to dwell more on it, since every one of us, we are HSE. We have HSE background. And towards in conclusion, he said we have to watch out for showstoppers and encourage us to use the acronym that say, if you see it, you have to own it. Own the responsibility, do it as if it's yours. If you see only a unsafe condition, quickly correct it, because you don't know who the incident might harm later. It's an attitude we need to imbibe, especially in the construction site. He also said, as HSE advisor, we should always have our AZID, our error report, for monitoring and implementation purposes. In conclusion, he said that EPC project requires competent and skillful personnel to prevent accidents on site. That's what I have for us today. Thank you very much. Hello? Hello? Hello, Engineer Mamoud?
Yeah. Sorry, my mic was mute.
Oh, okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Engineer Olaleka.
Yes,
thank
sir.
you so much.
Thank you, sir.
And thank you, everybody. I now want to call on Engineer Abdulganiu Yunus to give us a closing prayer.
Thank you, Engineer Mamoud. I want to appreciate the presence of all our elders in the society and the efforts of the presenter today. I want to pray that God, who has brought us together all this while as a family, who has also enriched our knowledge, which we are sharing on these platforms, to continue to strengthen us in terms of good health, in terms of knowledge, in terms of familiarity and hello?
Continue, you are praying. Just
okay.
Continue.
In terms of resources to keep the addition going.
Okay.
May God continue to give us good health. May He let us grow in numbers. In God's name we pray. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
sir.
All right.
Thank you.
Enjoy your week.
Thank you.
I'll finish praying.
Yes, we know.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Have
you.
a great
Thank you.
week. Have a great week.
Yes.
Thanks, Engineer Mamoud.
Yeah, we meet again next week, hopefully.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Engineer Mamoud.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, presenter. Well done.
Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye.
Okay, Mamoud, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Well done. This thing went off.
Okay, Engineer
Yeah,
Boniface,
I
how are you?
Yeah.
Okay, how are you?
Okay. Regards to your family.